Esther chapter 7, she got the courage to go talk to the king. And now there's going to be this banquet that Esther is having to reveal Haman's plot against the Jews. So chapter 7's like summary says Esther reveals Haman's plot to destroy the Jews. He is hanged on his own gallows. Like the drama is intense. Is there a movie called Esther? I don't even know, but if there were, it would probably be pretty good. Or we need to make one that's really good, because I feel like this is what I'm talking about. This Esther book would make such a good movie. Actually, like a lot of stories in the Bible would a lot of experiences in the Bible would be awesome stories for movies, right? Awesome. Um, okay, so and we normally read from the Bible and from the Redheaded Hostess. Also, I'm normally on a treadmill, but this time I am not because my treadmill broke. So here we go. Have um, we only have 10 verses in Esther chapter 7. So let's get going. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? So she had 2 banquets before she told the king what she was trying to get. So by this time, the king's like, whatever she wants, this has got to be so big. Like, why is she having 2 dinners, right? So what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed. Even to half of the kingdom. So he's already promising her like half the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. For we are sold, and I and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen or bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. And the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? So he has no idea that this is even happening. See, he's like, what? Who's killing you? Like, no. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. He's like, what? You know? So Haman had promised the king an enormous amount of money if he kills the Jews, but truly it would be nothing compared to the harm done to the king by the order. The king then asks who, of course, wondering what enemy had done this, and Esther then said that it was Haman. So like just crazy, right? Crazy. And so um and Esther said that, yeah. Anyway, so we're on verse 7 now. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden unto the palace of the banquet of wine. Okay, so I love that the king was so mad, but he did not say anything yet. He took time to give himself time to be able to answer in a kingly way, right? Like he's like, I need time um, for this request. He wasn't just making hasty decisions, but he was trying to figure out in his mind, like, how is he supposed to respond to this? He knows who Haman is. It's his right hand man. The the he was like a prince to him, you know what I mean? And so like it's not just this easy decision I'm sure that he could do. He trusted him so much. um so then here we are at verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden so he went to the gardens, right? Which is great because it's like you want that, the garden, like such a peaceful place, right? To be able to think and process thoughts, to without making hasty decisions. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, then they covered Haman's face. And Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, "Behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good of the king, standeth in the house of Haman." Then the king said, "Hang him thereon." So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. So really sad. You get to know this Haman guy. Yeah, he makes bad choices. He's trying to kill people. Like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say he needed to die, even though he was trying to kill people, but nobody really got hurt yet. Everybody was just like up up in arms, and they were like fearful for their life. But the king had to make a decision like this because it was like Haman was attacking, like trying to kill the queen, right? And so like, what? You can't make that either. You can't just try and kill the queen and not have any kind of ramification for that. That like there's got to be something, that the king can do that would um, that would help others know that you don't do this, right? And so it's kind of sad that Haman had to die, and his friends and his wife were like probably devastated, but also knew now, like, oh, we can't just be mean. Like, we can't just kill people because we don't like them. Like, that's not cool. Um, and so it's sad, but Mordecai totally refused, or remember how Mordecai refused to bow to him, but it's okay because that was just part of his religion, right? Like, it's sad that because he refused to bow to him, that was like that whole plan, like we're just going to kill all the Jews because of that. Like, no, that's unreasonable to do that. That's not something that you can do. Like, let's talk about this. Like, why? Maybe find out, why aren't you bowing? Maybe ask them about who they worship. Maybe ask them about their traditions, their religion, their practices. Don't be just such a hater that you're like, they need to die. Like, so anyway, so he hanged him on the very gallows that that Haman had built for Mordecai, which is so ironic, right? Like, um, my son was so funny when we were talking about this. He's like, "Oh, wouldn't it?" Like before I told him um, or maybe it was like while I was telling him that Haman was gonna die. Um, he was like, "Wouldn't that be crazy if he would have died on the same gallows he was building for Mordecai?" And I was like, "He did, though. He did." And he was like, "That's crazy." I know. And I was like, "Yes, I know." And it really was crazy. Okay, so there's a quote here from President Thomas S. Monson. He says this: "Physically, emotionally, and spiritually prepared, Esther stood in the inner court of the king's house. When the king saw her, he held out his golden scepter, telling her that he would grant whatever request she had. She invited the king to a feast she had arranged, and during the feast, she revealed that she was a Jew. She also exposed Haman's underhanded plot to exterminate all of the Jews in the kingdom. Esther's plea to save herself and her people was granted. Excuse me. Esther, through fasting, faith, and courage, had saved a nation. You will probably, oh, excuse me. We're still in the quote from President Thomas S. Monson. He says, "You will probably not be called upon to put your life on the line, as did Esther, for that which you believe. You will, however, most likely find yourself in situations where great courage will be required as you stand firm for truth and righteousness." End quote. President Thomas S. Monson, may you have courage. April 2009 General Conference. Okay, I love that quote. Okay, something else I wanted to talk to you about is, so if you feel like you are still lying to your friends or to yourself or to anyone about just being fine, let me tell you that the longer that you pretend, the longer that you're going to carry this pain alone, and the longer that this trauma, this betrayal trauma, is going to build in your system, and it's going to cause all kinds of internal strife, but also just like it turns to physical pain. Like, anyway, like, I have gone through so much of my own healing journey, and I don't want to see you alone in this struggle. And so I have created a monthly mailer that is Christ centered and it's filled with truth, healing tools, and simple challenges. And I guide you through surviving to thriving, because it is a step-by-step process that we need to go through in order to be healed. We can't just let time heal all wounds, right? Like, we think that that is the way that it's going to work, but we don't have to just allow time to heal all wounds. It's only because, like, yeah, I want time to pass, like 10 years, but if you're still feeling this, it's living inside you. It's Time is not going to help get the pus out. And so if you are feeling like you are just surviving and not thriving, please go at least look at the healing letters that I have available on warriorletters.com. And you can see for yourself if any of that sounds like it resonates with you, like you feel like it'll help you, then, sign up for your first supply drop. Because I hated being in survival mode, and it is not the place to live. That's not where my body wants to live. I'm an anxious person, and that anxiety is just like eating me alive. My autoimmune disorders were getting really out of hand, and the IVFs that I had gone through ended in early miscarriages. And so, like, I know that my body could not handle the trauma if I kept it, and I had to release it. And so it was just one of those things that I needed to do. I could not just let time pass. Like, that was not an option for my body. Um, and so, if you feel the same way, I invite you to visit warriorletters.com and see if any of that resonates with you. And I hope that you feel that you are not alone, because I am with you in this. And it's a battle. It's an everyday battle. So until we reach